Some women don't even realize the power they hold. A single look, a subtle movement, a shift in tone, and suddenly a man is completely drawn in. Not just attracted, captivated. But why? What makes certain female behaviors feel so dangerously seductive that men lose control, emotionally, mentally, even physically? This isn't about looks. It's not about being loud, flashy, or obvious. In fact, the most seductive behaviors are often the quietest, the ones that slip under the radar and hit straight into the subconscious. It's body language, confidence, presence, and a kind of emotional frequency most people never even notice. In this video, we're diving deep, not just into what these behaviors are, but why they work. You'll discover what men are hardwired to respond to, and why even the most rational guy finds himself obsessively drawn to women who radiate these signals. Whether you're a woman who wants to understand your own power, or a man who keeps falling for the same type without knowing why, this video will flip the switch. You'll never look at flirtation, chemistry, or attraction the same way again. Stay with me, because behavior number 5, it's the one most men admit they can't resist, even if they know it's a trap. There's something undeniably magnetic about a woman who embraces her natural feminine energy. It's not about being overly delicate or playing a role. It's about tapping into a presence that feels both nurturing and powerful at the same time. This kind of energy doesn't chase, it draws in. It's calm, yet charged. And men feel it almost instantly, often before a word is even spoken. You see, men are biologically wired to respond to polarity. Masculine and feminine energy exist on opposite ends of a spectrum. And when they're in balance, the chemistry becomes electric. A woman who is deeply grounded in her femininity creates a space that invites a man to step into his masculine. She becomes a mirror, not by mimicking his energy, but by offering a powerful contrast to it. Natural feminine energy shows up in subtle but unmistakable ways. In the softness of her gaze, in the way she listens with her whole presence, in her ability to flow with emotion rather than fight it. She doesn't need to dominate the room, yet she commands attention. Not through control, but through effortless magnetism. Men are especially drawn to this because in a world that often rewards hardness and competition, the feminine offers something rare, emotional refuge. It's not weakness, it's a different kind of strength. It's the ability to be open without being exposed, receptive without being passive. And that openness can feel both comforting and incredibly seductive. When a woman fully owns this energy, not performatively, but authentically, it taps into something primal. Her presence becomes the seduction. Her softness becomes a challenge. Her vulnerability becomes disarming. And for many men, that kind of feminine force is irresistible. It's not about dressing a certain way or using rehearsed lines. It's about embodiment, how she moves, how she reacts, how she simply is. And that, more than any surface-level tactic, is what creates lasting impact. This isn't manipulation, it's resonance. And when it's real, it creates a tension that feels both safe and thrilling. Something every man unconsciously craves, but rarely finds. There's a reason eye contact is often called the silent language of attraction. It bypasses logic and goes straight to instinct. A single, intentional look, held just a second longer than usual, can create more tension than an entire conversation. It doesn't need to be obvious. In fact, the subtler it is, the more powerful it becomes. When a woman holds eye contact with a man, especially in a way that's soft and unhurried, it activates something primal in him. It signals confidence, presence, and most importantly, awareness. She's not just looking at him, she's seeing him. And that feeling of being fully seen, even for a moment, is something men crave more than they often admit. But it's not just about holding a gaze, it's also about the glance, the fleeting, almost accidental look that creates mystery. When a woman glances his way, then looks away with a slight smile or an unreadable expression, it sparks curiosity. Was that intentional? Was it attraction or just coincidence? That ambiguity is powerful. It creates a loop in his mind, and he starts replaying that moment, searching for meaning in it. What makes this kind of eye contact so seductive is that it plays with control. It's an unspoken challenge. a dance. A woman doesn't need to say a word to take control of the emotional tempo. Her eyes do it for her. She communicates confidence without confrontation, desire without desperation. And that balance, it's rare and deeply attractive. What's even more fascinating is that this kind of non-verbal signal lingers. While words fade, a meaningful look can echo in a man's memory for days, especially when it's paired with subtle expressions, a slight raise of the brow, a half smile, a look of knowing without explanation. These micro-signals speak volumes. Ultimately, eye contact and subtle glances work because they create tension without pressure. They say, "I see you," without demanding anything in return. That level of composure, of being present and intentional, feels almost hypnotic. And for a man, that kind of quiet, confident energy doesn't just attract, it pulls. There's a kind of woman who walks into a room and instantly pulls attention, not because she's the loudest or most outgoing, but because there's something about her that feels unknowable. That's the power of mystery. It's not about hiding who you are. It's about not putting everything on display at once. And in a world of oversharing and instant gratification, mystery is rare, which makes it dangerously attractive. Men are naturally drawn to what they can't immediately understand. When a woman reveals herself slowly, with intention, it triggers a sense of pursuit. The mind wants to close the gap, to figure her out, to decode her, to win her attention. Mystery invites curiosity, and curiosity fuels desire. The more a man wonders what's behind her words, her glances, her silence, the more he invests emotionally, even if he doesn't realize it. Mystery doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being selective, not telling your whole life story in the first hour, not reacting to every text within seconds, not always explaining how you feel. It's about letting there be space for him to wonder, to imagine, to miss you. And that space creates magnetism. The mysterious woman doesn't rush to fill every silence. She understands that stillness has power. She listens more than she speaks. And when she does speak, she chooses her words with purpose. Her presence is intentional, not performative. And because she's not always trying to be understood, she becomes unforgettable. The paradox is this: men don't fall hardest for the women who give them everything up front. They fall for the ones who make them want to know more. The ones who reveal layers slowly, over time. That sense of discovery builds anticipation. It keeps the connection alive, even when you're not around. Mystery, when used naturally, isn't a game. It's an energy. It says, "I'm comfortable with who I am, but you'll have to earn access to me." That level of emotional self-control, not withholding out of fear, but out of confidence, is one of the most seductive traits a woman can embody. And it keeps men thinking about her long after she's left the room. Confidence is one of the most magnetic forces a woman can project. And when it's genuine, it doesn't just attract attention, it commands it. But this isn't the kind of confidence that needs to be loud or performative. True confidence is quiet. It's in how she carries herself, how she speaks, how she holds her space without needing to prove anything to anyone. Men are instinctively drawn to women who feel comfortable in their own skin. It signals emotional maturity, self-worth, and stability. Qualities that are deeply attractive on a subconscious level. A confident woman doesn't chase validation. She is the validation. And because she doesn't need external approval, the approval she gives becomes incredibly valuable. Confidence also creates a sense of emotional safety. It tells a man, "I know who I am, and I don't need you to complete me, but I'm choosing to let you in." That distinction is everything. It removes pressure, it creates space for organic connection, and it subtly raises the standard of how she expects to be treated. It shows up in the smallest moments, in how she holds eye contact without flinching, in how she sets boundaries without guilt, in how she can say no without over-explaining, and yes without second-guessing herself. That groundedness is intoxicating because it's rare. It signals that her emotions don't control her, she controls them. And that control radiates strength, not coldness. What many don't realize is that confidence is also incredibly feminine when it's rooted in authenticity. It doesn't have to mimic masculine energy to be powerful. A confident woman can be soft, expressive, even vulnerable, and still carry undeniable strength. Because she's not afraid to be seen, she doesn't hide behind masks or tactics. She shows up fully, unapologetically, and with presence. This kind of woman leaves an impression, not because she's trying to be unforgettable, but because her energy lingers. She's not afraid to walk away, not afraid to take up space, and not afraid to let silence speak louder than noise. That level of self-possession, it's more than attractive, it's irresistible. Playful teasing walks a fine line between innocent fun and something far more seductive. And when done right, it's one of the most powerful tools in the dance of attraction. Why? Because teasing creates tension. It flirts with boundaries. It challenges, engages, and invites someone into a shared moment without ever fully giving the game away. When a woman teases a man, not with cruelty, but with wit and warmth, it sends a very specific signal: I see you. I'm comfortable with you, but I'm not handing myself over too easily. That push and pull is addictive. It creates chemistry because it activates the same mental patterns found in play, challenge, and even like competition. And for many men, that dynamic is irresistible. Teasing breaks patterns. In a world full of predictable compliments and overly rehearsed dating behaviors, a well-placed tease disrupts expectations. It throws a bit of playful chaos into the conversation, and that unpredictability becomes exciting. It also requires presence. You can't tease someone effectively if you're not fully engaged with them. And that presence, that attention to detail, creates a kind of intimacy that feels both personal and electrifying. But here's the key. Seductive teasing isn't about being mean or mocking. It's about emotional intelligence. It's knowing when to tease, how far to take it, and when to pull back. It's a shared joke, not a jab. It's a spark, not a burn. And when that balance is struck, the interaction becomes layered. There's humor, connection, and just enough ambiguity to leave him wondering, is she into me, or just really good at this? Teasing also works because it subtly shifts power. A woman who can playfully challenge a man without fear of rejection shows confidence and ease. She's not afraid to stir things up a bit, and that freedom, that lack of neediness, creates intrigue. It shows she's emotionally independent, self-aware, and fully in control of her vibe. In the end, playful teasing isn't just harmless fun, it's flirtation disguised as banter. It opens the door for deeper attraction, while keeping things light, unpredictable, and emotionally charged. And when it's authentic, men don't just respond to it, they crave it. Before a single word is spoken, the body has already said everything. Body language is the most primal, honest form of communication. And when it comes to attraction, it often speaks louder than any scripted line. Men are constantly reading these signals, even if they don't consciously realize it. And some of the most seductive women are masters at sending the right ones, intentionally or not. It's in the way she walks, slow, deliberate, not rushed. A woman who moves with purpose signals confidence and control. It tells a man, I know where I'm going, and I don't need permission to get there. That grounded energy is powerful. It projects stability, poise, and strength without having to say a word. It's in the tilt of the head, the softness of her shoulders, the way she leans in just slightly during a conversation. These micro movements signal interest, trust, and openness, and they create a sense of closeness that draws people in. When a woman mirrors a man's body language subtly, it creates a sense of alignment. He feels seen, understood, connected, and that invisible thread tightens. Then there's touch, the light brush of a hand on his arm, or a playful tap during a laugh. It's not about intensity, it's about timing and intention. The slightest physical contact, delivered with the right energy, can send a ripple through the body, sparking anticipation and desire. Even stillness has power. A woman who's not constantly fidgeting or performing commands attention without demanding it. Her stillness becomes a presence. She knows she doesn't need to fill the space with motion to be noticed, because her energy already is. Eye contact, posture, pace of movement, breathing, they all contribute to the unspoken message. And when a woman is in tune with her body, when she moves with self-awareness and grace, it creates a silent rhythm that men are naturally drawn to. He may not be able to articulate why, but he'll feel it. Body language is never just background noise. It's a living signal. And when used with intention, or when it flows naturally from confidence and emotional clarity, it can seduce, invite, and completely captivate without a single word. There's a big difference between being emotionally open and being emotionally dependent. And that difference changes everything in attraction. Men are drawn to women who are emotionally available, but they pull away fast from those who come across as emotionally needy. It's a subtle line, but when crossed, the shift in energy is unmistakable. Emotional availability means a woman can express how she feels without fear. She can be warm, affectionate, and even vulnerable. But she's rooted. She doesn't rely on someone else to regulate her self-worth. She invites connection, but she doesn't need it to feel whole. That creates emotional safety for both people. It tells a man, "You're welcome here, but I'm not broken without you." That kind of strength is not only rare, it's magnetic. Neediness, on the other hand, often masks itself as intensity or deep emotion. But the energy behind it feels different. It's not an offering, it's a demand. Constant reassurance seeking, over-texting, fear of silence, or pressure to define the relationship too soon. These are all signs that the desire for connection is being driven by fear, not confidence. And for a man, it feels like emotional weight, not emotional intimacy. What's seductive is a woman who can hold space for her emotions and his, without losing herself in the process. She doesn't punish him for needing space. She doesn't collapse if he pulls away briefly. Her self-esteem isn't dependent on his every move. And because she has that emotional independence, her availability feels safe, not suffocating. Ironically, men open up more to women who don't try to force it. When a woman simply is present, grounded, emotionally expressive without trying to control, it invites a man to lower his guard. He feels drawn in, not pushed. That balance of being soft yet stable, open yet secure, creates an irresistible kind of intimacy. It shows emotional maturity. It says, "I'm here to connect, not to cling." And that subtle difference is often what separates a fleeting attraction from a lasting one. Emotional availability doesn't just invite connection, it deepens desire. Neediness, no matter how well-intentioned, ends up repelling the very closeness it craves. Most people underestimate the power of silence, especially in a world obsessed with constant noise and instant replies. But when used with intention, silence becomes one of the most seductive tools a woman can wield. It creates space, tension, and mystery, and men notice, because in that silence, they start to lean in. They wonder. They feel silence isn't emptiness. It's presence without pressure. A woman who can sit in quiet, confidently, comfortably, radiates control. She doesn't fill every gap with chatter, doesn't rush to explain herself, and doesn't fear the pauses. Her silence says, "I don't need to prove anything." That level of emotional poise is captivating. When a woman knows how to use silence, she subtly shifts the dynamic. Instead of chasing connection, she invites it. She gives a man room to speak, to reflect, and most importantly, to feel her energy. It's in those quiet moments, in the stillness between words, that connection often deepens. Because attraction isn't just built through conversation. It's built through tension, through what's unspoken. Men are especially drawn to this, because it contrasts with what they often experience. Many interactions feel rushed or overly explained, filled with nervous laughter or constant talking. But when a woman is at peace with silence, it signals depth. She's not trying to entertain, she is the intrigue. That quiet confidence makes him wonder what's going on behind her eyes, what she's thinking, what she's not saying, and that curiosity pulls him in. Even in texting or online communication, silence has power, not in a manipulative play hard to get way, but in a way that reflects boundaries, self-respect, and a life that doesn't revolve around instant replies. That detachment can be alluring because it implies value. Her time, attention, and words aren't given lightly. The truth is, the woman who doesn't feel the need to overshare or overperform often leaves the strongest impression. Her silence becomes a mystery, not a void. It gives space for desire to build. And in that quiet, in that charged, intentional stillness, a man doesn't feel ignored. He feels hooked. There's something uniquely magnetic about a woman who doesn't realize just how much power she holds. When she's unaware of her own seductive influence, her energy becomes natural, effortless, and impossible to resist. This kind of unconscious power isn't manufactured or rehearsed. It's pure authenticity, raw and unfiltered. and that's what makes it so dangerously attractive. When a woman doesn't try to control the energy she creates, she's free to be herself fully. There's no need for calculated moves or manipulative tactics. She simply is. And in that state, her presence resonates on a deeper level. Men are drawn to her because she feels genuine, spontaneous, and unpredictable. She's like a force of nature, unrestrained, uninhibited, and alive. This unawareness amplifies her feminine energy because it strips away any tension or self-consciousness. Confidence, rooted in genuine self-acceptance, doesn't need validation, it just flows. Her smile, her laugh, the way she moves, all come from a place of ease rather than effort. And that ease is intoxicating because it signals freedom. Men don't just want to be near her, they want to be part of that freedom, to share in the lightness and vitality she radiates. Interestingly, the very things she might see as quirks or flaws often add to this allure. Maybe it's a spontaneous gesture, a unique laugh, or the way she gets lost in a moment without caring who's watching. These moments of unfiltered authenticity create an aura of mystery and excitement because they feel real and unpolished. When a woman is unaware of her power, she's not performing for anyone, which ironically makes her more powerful than someone who tries too hard. The subconscious brain of a man picks up on this and responds with fascination and desire. It's an invitation to engage, explore, and connect on a level deeper than the surface. Ultimately, unconscious power comes from being fully present in who she is, without needing to analyze or control the impact she has. And that kind of energy, it's the kind that lingers in a man's mind long after she's gone, because it feels genuine, rare, and electrifying. As we wrap up this deep dive into the female behaviors that men find dangerously seductive, it's important to remember that these insights aren't about playing games or manipulating others. They're about understanding the natural dynamics of attraction, and most importantly, about embracing your authentic self. The most magnetic energy comes from confidence, presence, and emotional clarity, not from trying to fit a mold or act in a way that's not true to you. What you've learned today can serve as a guide to help you step into your feminine power in a way that feels effortless and genuine. Whether it's harnessing the quiet strength of silence, using eye contact to create connection, or embracing mystery to build intrigue, these behaviors are tools to deepen your relationships and elevate your own sense of self-worth. The key is intention. When you bring awareness to how you carry yourself and interact with others, you open the door to more meaningful and fulfilling connections. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to become more of who you really are. That's the real secret to being dangerously seductive. Take time to practice these behaviors in everyday life. Notice how your energy shifts when you hold your gaze a little longer, when you pause before responding, or when you allow silence to do the talking. Watch how men respond differently when you embody confidence versus when you seek approval. These small changes add up to a powerful transformation that others can't help but notice. Remember, seduction isn't about control. It's about invitation. It's about creating space for mutual desire and connection, not forcing it. When you're grounded in emotional availability without neediness, playful teasing without cruelty, and mystery without distance, you naturally draw the right people toward you. Ultimately, this knowledge is a gift, one that empowers you to create relationships that are both exciting and deeply authentic. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and keep growing into the woman who knows her worth and isn't afraid to show it. Thank you for watching, and remember, your power lies in your authenticity. Own it and watch the world respond.